How come no K-pop groups have made a table lamp? Or at least, why aren't walled powered docks for light sticks more common? Hi, it's Matt, and today we're turning 17's Carat Bong into a table lamp. 17! Like most projects, I started by searching the web to look for existing models of the Carat Bong. I found this one made by Janie, which was pretty close to what I needed. The handle texture differs a little from the actual light stick, but it will do. I used Fusion 360 to model everything else, so that includes the dome piece, the diamond, and the piece that holds the diamond, which I learned are called prongs. For the light, I'll be using a standard A19 light bulb, and I added in a space that we can slide a light socket through. Let's print. I mostly use a resin printer, as the texture on the handle requires finer detail. The only parts that I used in FDM printer were the base of the light stick and this truncated conical piece, which is the part that elevates the diamond. This is also called a frustum, our geometry word of the day. Next, we can glue the pieces together. I'm using a metal file to smooth out the surfaces that will be glued and remove any bumps or imperfections from 3D printing. Some C8 glue is applied at the joining faces and the pieces are pressed together. Whoops, I glued it to the cutting mat. Lastly, I applied Bondo to cover the seams. Okay, let's paint. The first couple coats are white, and then followed up by this metallic aluminum color. I wanted to try replicating the iridescent quality of the actual Carat Bong, so I figured this clear effect spray paint might work in adding the multicolor sparkle. However, before we continue painting, there's this 17 text that's on the light stick that needs to be added. I made a stencil in Photoshop and then cut it out on stencil vinyl with a Cricut machine. Look at that peel. And I used some transfer tape to apply the letters to the light stick. And now we can apply the clear effects. I noticed the iridescent shine wasn't super obvious unless you look closely, so that was a little disappointing. And after a few coats, I figured this was as good as it was going to get. Now, we can remove the stencil vinyl that I applied earlier. Oh man, I ruined it. Here, I'm sanding and repainting to hide my mistakes. But you can still see some imperfections if you look closely. Oh well. We'll return to the 17 text later. This is a vacuum former. The way it works is fairly simple. You make a mold, heat up a sheet of plastic till it's soft, and then place the soft plastic over the mold while applying vacuum pressure so that the sheet conforms to the mold's geometry. I'm using this machine to manufacture the diamond out of white polystyrene, as we want the diamond to serve as a light diffuser. The diamond is split into two parts, the top and the bottom, as you can't have overhangs with vacuum forming because your part gets stuck and you'll be sad. Oof, that's hot. After the pieces are formed, I used a utility knife and scissors to cut it out. The bottom part is glued to the prongs. And the whole diamond assembly is glued onto the frustum. Now we can run the power cord for the light socket through the handle and slide the socket into place. There's no need to glue the socket in since light bulbs come in varying heights, and that way we can accommodate more sizes. The bulb also holds the diamond in place, so that's a nice touch. Originally, I was going to also form the dome in two parts, cutting it vertically, but after trying to form it with no success, I decided to have the dome in one piece as the mold, which I quickly 3D printed out. Don't mind the mess. There we go. It was a snug fit between the plastic sheet and the mold, so I cut a slit to help release it. And the dome popped out after a little convincing. It's almost complete. The last step is to redo the 17 text that I screwed up earlier. I'm cutting it out of Cricut's silver vinyl and then applying it to the surface. Thanks for watching. This was a fun project to put together over a weekend and not too complex. 3D files are down in the description if you want to build your own, and if you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next project.